Alright, so this morning, sun's shining. I feel a little better today. So what we're going to do is two things. We're going to go ahead and insert the brake pads into the new calipers and everything. Let's see, this is the part number that I went with. This particular kit, the nice thing about it, with hardware. If you're building this brake kit with per the instructions, not all the kits came with hardware. This one came with hardware, and it was actually cheaper than buying it separately. The other thing I'm going to do is, of course, bleed the front brakes. It's kind of a challenge to get in there, but my tool and everything fits in there pretty good. So we'll put the brake pads in, then we will bleed it. So I'm going to dig out my brake bleeder and the brake fluid, and I'll be right back. Alright, so the brake fluid I use is this. Like I said, this is a track car. This stuff is not cheap, but I do bleed my brakes about every 4 track sessions. So I always have clean fluid in there. It also just lets you know if you've got any contamination, but it can be kind of pricey. I wish there was a cheaper solution to this, but so far that's what I've found. And the brake bleeder I use is one of these guys. Little tank. Nice thing is it's got a little screw-on part. It comes with this kit came with a couple adapters, and I did have to buy one of these for the Hyundai. It didn't, the one that came with the kit did not work, but it works on most of my other vehicles. So I think the adapter was like another 20 bucks if I remember correctly. Not overly expensive, but that works. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I haven't used this in a while, I'm going to go ahead and rinse the tank out with some brake clean, let it dry out. While it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and pull the other wheel off and put the brakes in the calipers. Alright, so the pads are pretty much identical. Really the big difference is that each side should have one of these wear indicators. So you'll just need to make sure that you get those lined up correctly. But other than that, they should go on pretty easy. And then we just have our hardware here. So we should have a complete set with the keeper thing and the pins. And yeah, so I will go ahead and get the pads installed and put the keepers in place. And because this is the first time I put those in there, those pads slid right in there, no problem, not dragging on anything. There's the keeper, or not the keeper, but the wear indicator right there. It's got about a foot of space. Okay, not really, but it's actually pretty easy. Yeah, nice thing about these is they just slide straight down. Alright, I gotta open up the hard work bag. Alright, looking at this pad holder, it does not appear to be directional. So you can put it in either direction, it seems. Looking at that, double check, make sure. Alright, but it does go this way because the keeper pins will slide through or slide over these guys here. Alright, let's see how hard this is to get it back in there. Alright, so the way these go in seems a little odder than I thought, but I was assuming that they went under the groove section, but actually it goes behind it. That makes it line up. If you try to do it the other way, it is too long and it wanted to rub. I was trying to figure out what the hell I was doing wrong. So yeah, just flip it over, and then it should go in. And then once you get the pins close, you're going to have to fiddle with these pins to get them to line up so they go through the holes. And then it looks like you just tap it in and there's no keeper. This actually holds that pad in place. So just these little plastic deals here on the end is all you need. Don't take those off. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and I got to finish aligning this bottom one, and then I can tap them both in. Alright, so I should point out, it doesn't matter where this keeper goes. It should be on the bottom. If it's on the top, it may rub sooner. I remembered that and flipped mine around, just so you know. And then these have to be kind of lightly tapped in. You want to get the pin started into the little hole, and then it should just tap in. Should. These are brand new, so there is the paint or whatever this coating is. I don't know if this is what it actually is, but so I had to turn the wheel a bit to get to it, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that tapped in now. Hopefully it is fairly easy. All right, and the pins are flush, as you can see, top and bottom. I did put a little bit of never sees just on the little locking, this little locking ring. It's a metal ring that goes around there and compresses as it goes into the caliper, and that's all that holds it in. So a little bit of never sees made it a little easier to get in. I have a very small ball peen hammer that seemed to work better than my claw hammer. Probably once they're used it might be not so bad, but with the spring tension of the keeper, it does make it kind of hard. You just want to make sure that you get your hole lined up so that the tip of that goes in like it's supposed to, and then everything else should be good. As you can see, we still haven't done anything, so now I'm going to turn the wheel the other way and go over to the driver's side and do it, and then I'm going to come back and bleed the passenger side, and then bleed the driver's side. I'm probably not going to bleed the rears right now. I just want to get the fronts bled, so that way I can put down on the ground and move the car. I'll do a complete bleed before I go back to the track, but right now we're just going to do this so that we can get on with this project. All right, same thing here on the driver's side. We're going to put the pads in. I like having the wear indicator on the front side, but everybody's a little different. Pad just slips in. You should have a little bit of room. Even doing the down and dirty, you should have plenty enough room to slide that in there. Again, they literally just slip in. So much easier than other brakes, but I really wish they had somebody comes along with a kit to do the rear. So now I run a DCT, so I don't really care if I have a parking brake or not. I might look into some sort of modification to do my rear with the fours. We'll have to see what I can come up with. I think it'd be interesting. I don't think anybody's done it. I'm gonna have to get out onto Mr. Google and see how that goes. So next thing we're gonna do is get those pins prepped and get them in. And if you want to make your life a little easier, you can put in one pin. I do the top one, and then you can fit this guy under it, and then you can do your bottom one. All in all, I'd say less than a 10-minute job once you get the wheels off. Very simple. Hardest part is knowing that you really need to, on this particular pin set, you really need to pound them in. Now, I saw a video and they did not have those little clips. They had all factory hardware. So I don't know if this is because this is an aftermarket setup that they have this type of system. But whatever it is, this is how this particular kit went in. So that's all done. We're going to put the wheels straight just so that it's easier to bleed it all at one time. And we're going to set up the bleeder and get going. All right, so I put both bottles of my brake fluid into this. I'm going to pressurize the tank. Once I get it up to pressure, or a little bit of pressure, I'm going to crack open the cap to let any air escape so I don't push air into the system. So it's kind of a little process. There's a couple of different ways. I kind of wish they had an inline. I probably will put an inline bleeder in here at some point. That way I can pressurize the tank, bleed the air out closer to the cap. But the way I do it is pressurize the tank a little bit, let the pressure out at the cap, and that will help pull that, and then any extra air will be dissipated. All right, so I've got pressure. Everything's holding, so I've bled the line, as you can see. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my 11 mil and I'm going to get this started to bleed. The way I set this up is I hook up my bleeder line, and then I like to use one of these disposable throwaway Harbor Freight brake bleeder cups. This allows the fluid to go in and air to come out. And if I just crack this open slowly, I can keep an eye on the pressure and make sure that all the fluid and stuff is draining. And just like when you're doing a full brake, you always want to start from the farthest from the master, which is this outside one. We'll bleed that one, bleed the interior, then make sure we have everything done. And I just barely cracked the valve and it is already pushing fluid through. So I just have it barely open. And I'm gonna go up and check the tank and make sure my pressure is holding, and we'll just keep an eye on it. Still sitting at 10 pounds, or I guess that's 10 pounds. Yeah, it's about 10 pounds. All right, back in a minute. Yeah, it might be hard to hear. I can hear it with my ear, but you can hear the bubbles. And you can just watch the bubbles travel. Alright, so I've bled both sides here. I've got probably about a quarter of a bottle of fluid out on this side. So we had a bit of air to start with, and then it became just a clear liquid. I'm going to do the other side, and then I'm going to repeat the process one more time just to make sure. And then once I do that, we'll go ahead and start the car. And I don't know if this car I can operate the anti-lock brake from the OBD2 port. I do have a scan tool that will do that, but I'm not sure if this car has that feature. So if not, then I will have to apply the brakes to get the pads to seat, and then I will bleed them one more time once the pads are seated. Alright, before we start doing the driver's side, looks like our pressure has come down a few pounds, so we're going to pump it back up to 10 and start over. Alright, so I went ahead and hooked up my second clear line, and I have them both now into the bottle this way, because it seems like I've got about 90% of the air out of the system. So what I listen for now is, because I can hear the bubbles if there's anything coming out. Doesn't appear to be. I can check the back one. I put some more air in the tank. This way, if we did have any, we would hear it. Nope, no bubbles. Everything's just liquid now. Alright, so that is the driver's side done. This way was a little easier because going back and forth between the two and disconnecting the hose, I kept reintroducing a little bit of air into the lines that I was bleeding from. So, I mean these lines, not the brake. So now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and start the car, push down on the brake pedal to seat the pads up against the rotor, and then I'll re-bleed them one more time just to check, make sure all the air is actually out of the system. And once I do that, I will top off the reservoir, and that will be it for this. So next step will be hooking the battery back up and finding the key. Okay, hooked up the battery. Let's get our stuff off of anything. I don't think we have anything touching. All right, we'll see how hard this thing is to start today. Apparently not very. It still says my key fob's dead, so I'm having to hold it to the thing, but started right up. So the battery is holding a charge that I just recently replaced. Pedal feels pretty decent on the brakes. I am going to hook up my scan tool real quick and see if it allows me to cycle the anti-lock brake system. Alright, Well, apparently I can do electronic bleeding with this system. So that's pretty cool. Alright, it says solenoid is closed, pump is off. Well, that's in it. Depressed brake pedal to the floor. Alright, I'm gonna run this real quick. Well, that's pretty straightforward. This is the Foxwell tool. It cost around 400 something bucks. It's kind of nice. I've been using it mostly for the Boxster, but I saw this in the settings and I thought I'd give it a shot, and it's pretty straightforward. You just push your foot all the way to the floor, the pump runs through, when the pump shuts off you take your foot off, pedals hard, so it self bleeds. It's kind of nice. So brakes now feel nice and hard. There's no sponge left in them, so I'm going to go ahead and close up the system. I'm going to let this thing run for a few minutes and get it up to temperature, because it hasn't been restarted in a couple of weeks, months or so, month and a half, I don't remember, whenever I put the battery in. So we're going to do that, and I got to hunt around the house. I know I have a brand new battery for this thing somewhere, so we'll just leave that in here for now. But since we have the tool hooked up, let's go ahead and go home. Back to home. We're going to run a diagnostics. Okay. Why are you telling me no? Okay. Home. Diagnostics. We are going to run Hyundai. Let's go ahead and run a quick scan just to see how everything is doing. Alright, well, it's running its test. I'm gonna go ahead and start closing things up. Oh, we have an engine fault. Turbocharger bypass valve fault. Oh, it's in the history. It's nothing new. That happens all the damn time. So my transaxle airbag. Ooh, airbag says, probably because I have all this shit sitting on the passenger seat, it's probably going to give me a complaint. Oh, battery. Yeah, passenger airbag. Yeah, see? This is a very smart tool. Alright, so I'm gonna let it do its thing while I clean up. Alright, so it's got the typical fucking Hyundai clatter. But I also have to tighten this up. It might be hard to see, but it's vibrating and you can hear it. So I'm gonna have to tighten that one up. That one's alright. So yeah, this one just needs to be a little bit more tight. That way it'll stop vibrating. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and put the wheels on it, and then that way I can get it off the quick jack and get those under panels off so that I can run the new fuel line and the meth line, and we'll go from there. But so far it's coming along. Good thing I didn't have any track days planned for this. So yep, the only thing I have to do is disconnect my bleeder. It's been holding it just over 10 pounds now, so that means all the air is out of the system. I'm gonna go ahead and top off the reservoir, and we should be good to go.